Guys, welcome to Time Out with Show. It's your girl Shola here. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. Today I'm going to be showing you guys my eyebrow routine. This is a requested video, so I decided to do it. Alright, so let's get straight into it. Let's get up close and personal. So basically I started off by brushing my brows. I actually just got my brows threaded, and oh my god guys, so I told the lady that I just wanted her to clean up my brows, and she decided to make them this thin. I know you're probably thinking oh, they're not that bad, they're not that thin. Personally, I like my brows a bit thicker, so this for me was a bit annoying. And then she was like to me, do you want it thinner? I'm like, excuse me? I said clean up. You've made them this thin and you're still asking me if I want them thinner. And I don't know if anyone else is the same, but I'm one of those people who, if I get bad customer service, I almost never say anything about it, and I'm just like, you know what, thank you. And I just literally leave it alone. But anyways, back to my brows. I was only mentioning this if my brows look significantly different to any other videos you guys have seen. That is why, because I can only do so much at this point. But I'm going to do the same technique I usually do. So I'll typically get a spoolie and I'll brush my brows into place. Now that that's done, I typically go in with some type of brow gel or brow soap or something that essentially helps my brows to stay in place. Currently, I have been loving the Sample Beauty brow gel, which is this one right here. So I've been using this for quite a while now, so I'm just going to use this one today. It is just like a clear liquid, and I just brush it up in my brows. So I've gone ahead and put the brow gel on my eyebrows, and I'm just going to use a spoolie to kind of push my hairs down a bit more. Okay, now that I've applied my brow gel, I typically go in and cover up my brows even before I fill out my brows. So I don't have any special products that I use to cover up my brows. I just use the concealers that I use on my face. One of my go-to ones is the Nars Soft Matte in the shade Caramel. And I also use the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Amande. So basically, the concealer shades I decide to use to cover my brows, it's typically based on what my makeup for the day is going to be. So if I'm going to do a full face of makeup, I'll typically use a lighter shade to cover up underneath my brows, and I'll use a shade closest to my skin tone to cover up the top part of my brow. If I was planning on wearing no makeup, I was going for a really natural look or a no makeup look, I would just use a concealer that's very close to my skin tone on both the upper and lower parts of my eyebrows. So today I'm actually going to be doing a full face of makeup, so I'll be showing you guys the first option. So yeah, let's just get into it. This is what the matte soft matte concealer looks like. I found that the consistency of this concealer is actually so good for carving out your brows. Just think about it, I've actually never used this product on my under eyes. That might be something I might look to try one day. Since I bought this pot, I've just been using it for my eyebrows. That's how much I love it over my typical concealers for my eyebrows. So I just typically tend to follow the natural lining of my brows, or at least where I want my brows to look like. I feel like this is kind of hard to explain, so I just hope that you guys can see it properly while I do it. Also, you don't have to drag the concealer to the middle like this. It's just something I do because I feel like it helps me to see if I'm close enough in terms of them being symmetrical. Also, remember that your eyebrows are sisters, not twins, so it's okay for them to be different. So I'm gonna go in with the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Amande. I've always wondered if this is pronounced Amande or Amande, but anyways. So I'm just going to put a bit of the product on my brush. Oh, sorry, I never told you guys what kind of brush I'm using. So it's just a typical concealer brush. It's just like a flat brush. If your brush is maybe too big or not flat enough, what I like to do is kind of like push it together and like squeeze it together. That way, you know, it gets a bit more flatter and like you can really like carve out your brows with it. But yeah, so mind you, I still have a bit of the other products on the brush, so I'm not really going to change my brush to do this. You can if you want to. I don't see any to. So I'm just going to carve out the top part of this. I'm just going to go ahead and do the other side as well. Okay, so I've done the same thing with the other side. If you notice, if I just come in a bit closer, on the top part of my brows, I've kind of carved it out and I've left like a tiny bit of space between where my actual brows stop and where like you can see the line of the concealer. And I've done this intentionally because, like I said before, I actually like my brows to be a bit thicker than what my natural brows look like right now. So that's why I've done that. This is an especially good technique if you have thin brows and you want to make your brows look a bit fuller and like thicker, or you know, if you've just had a situation similar to mine where you know you've just got your brows taken off a bit too much. So you can fake it until you grow back. And also I feel like this technique actually works really well for people who already have thick brows and just want to like clean it up and shape it up and like not apply any more products. Okay, so the next step is actually optional depending on how you're feeling. Some days when my brows are actually a lot like fuller, I'm actually happy to just like carve them out and be on my way. But because obviously I just got them threaded and they're a bit thin, I feel like I'm talking about this whole thing a bit much now, but I just need to give you guys some context to why I'm doing what I'm doing, because otherwise you'd just be watching me doing something and you'd be like, okay. So I'm going to go in with a brow product. So today I'm going to use the e.l.f. brow pencil. It's the Instant Lift brow pencil in the shade Deep Brown. Again, you can use any brow pencil or pomade or whatever, powder, whatever works for you. The really good thing about this technique is that you just tend to use less products. So I'm just going to go in and kind of fill out the sparse areas of my brows, which is mostly going to be like the arc and the tail end of my brows. I'm not going to fill out the front parts of my brows because you kind of want to have that gradient going on. So yeah, let's just get that done. And that's it filled in. I'm just gonna go ahead and use the spoolie, brush things into place and just, you know, and that is how I do my brows. I'll typically just take my concealer brush and try and blend out the concealer I've used all over my brows, and just to make it look a bit more, you know, presentable. Okay, so I've done some blending and obviously it still looks a tiny bit crazy, but this is because I used a lighter concealer on my under eyes. Like I said, I'm gonna do a full face makeup, so by the time I'm done, it's gonna all make sense. But if you notice, the top part of my brows don't look as crazy as the bottom part because I use concealer because it's my skin, and that's why that little, you know, process works. But anyways, so I'm just gonna go off camera and finish with my makeup, and I'll be right back. All right guys, I am back. My makeup's all done and here's the final look. As you guys can see, my eyebrows don't look crazy anymore, and like using a lighter concealer shade actually helped as a base for my eyeshadow to make them pop a bit more. If you guys want to see the tutorial for this eye look, I will have that video up as well. I will either add it somewhere on the screen or, you know, add it to the description box, but it will be there for you guys to find for sure. But yeah, overall, like, I don't really believe in using the most expensive product on your brows, because I feel like you can achieve the perfect brows using like drugstore products. I have tried some high-end brow products. Like, I tried the Benefit Precision Brow Pencil. It's this one over here. It is a good product, but for the price point, I just rather use something cheaper. I know quite a few people who use eyeshadow on their eyebrows and the eyebrows look great. If you guys want me to recommend any kind of cheap alternatives or cheap techniques to do your brows, let me know. But honestly, like, my current brow routine is here to stay, and the products I've used are also like quite affordable. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And while you're here, just, you know, click on another video. There'll be another video on the screen. Just click on that and watch that as well. You know, just make it a whole day. Just have fun, go crazy. And I will see you guys next time.